Hi everyone, my name is Karen and I want to tell you where the babies come from. Do you know that already? I thought so too. But now I know for sure that storks bring them. Yes, they do, storks. You don't believe me? Then I'm about to prove it to you. It didn't start long ago. At that time, my cousin Emma and I were cleaning out the library at my grandparents' house. I was going through the books and she got the boxes with the photos and the documents in them. There were a lot of interesting things there, but we were more interested in photos than papers. There were young grandparents in the photos, so exciting, and our parents, mine and hers, little kids with big bows on their clothes, teenagers in flares, wedding photos. It was really cool. And so Emma, taking out the next boxes, dropped one of them and a lot of papers fell out on the floor. We started picking them up, and suddenly Emma took one of them, fell quiet, read them carefully, and ran out of the room. I ran after her, and she was lying on the bed crying. I couldn't understand what was going on. She wasn't talking. I left, thinking it would make it easier for her to calm down. In the evening, we sat down for dinner all together. Few families. Everyone was as always, fun, kind, cuddling each other. Emma's dad told funny stories. Mom kept asking why we were so sad. Then everyone thought we were just tired. I spent the whole dinner watching my sister. She kept her eyes on us all in silence. It's been a week of vacation. All this time, Emma has been very tense and hasn't said, what did she learn from the papers? I didn't know how to ask my parents. What could I even ask about? I didn't know what was going on. We all went home. After a while, my aunt called my mother and cried for a long time, telling me that Emma had become unbearable. She fought with everyone. She just hated her little brother, hurt him. She did not understand what was the matter. Asked us to come. She wanted me to communicate with my sister more often. I knew it was all because of that paper. We came to visit. I wanted to talk to Emma. I thought she'd be quiet again, but she wasn't. She really wanted to talk to me that day. She said she hates our whole family for lying. She found an adoption certificate during the cleanup. Turns out, my father is not just very strict, but he is so because I'm not their own daughter. My world just turned upside down. My parents are not mine after all. It was a terrible shock. I was shocked, grieved. Emma started telling me all kinds of horror stories about foster families. I was scared. That evening passed as in a fog. I stayed up at night and decided I'd rather not say anything to my parents. If they found out that I knew, they'd stop being good and the horrors that Emma was talking about would come out. In the morning, the phone rang. It was Emma, and she said she hadn't made an essay yesterday, so I should give her mine. I was against it, but then she said she'd tell everyone about the certificate. I agreed, and it started. My world has become a living hell. She kept making me do things, clean their garden, do her homework, go out with her little brother, carry her snacks, and even back her up when she ran away to go out with her boyfriend. I didn't like all of this terribly, but as soon as I refused, she said she would tell everything, and then my parents start torturing me. At nights, I cried. I felt guilty in front of my parents, scared of them, scared of my sister. I got worse at school. I didn't have time to do my chores at home. My parents started to worry and eventually decided to talk to me. I was so tired over the past few months that I couldn't stand it, crying, and told them I knew everything, and told them about the blackmail. Dad kept quiet for a long time. Mom said I probably should have done it sooner. She asked me to wait until tomorrow, and they left. I was shocked. I didn't understand what was going on. The next day, we went to visit our grandparents. Dinner was served, and everyone gathered. Uncle and aunt were very serious. Grandfather said that the time had come and there should be no secrets in the family. Uncle started talking. A long time ago, when my uncle and aunt first got married, there was a big nest near their house, and storks came there every spring. And then one spring, when the storks arrived early in the morning, someone ringed their doorbell, and a basket with a newborn baby was on the doorstep. It was a girl, and they decided that if the storks brought them a baby, they should keep it. Then there was a long adoption process, and almost a year later, Emma officially became their daughter. And a couple of years later, in the same spring, they had a son. They really loved Emma, and also, she's an unusual child brought by storks. When he finished, Emma started crying and told us everything. It turned out that she had found a certificate of her adoption. She was very scared. She decided that she could be deprived of her family at any time. She felt she was loved less, that she meant nothing, and then she decided that she would not suffer alone and told me that I was adopted. She felt good that she wasn't the only one who was afraid and suffering. Now she's very ashamed and she doesn't know how to fix it. We all cried and hugged Emma and each other. Since then, our families have been even closer, and now I know that storks really do bring children. Is there anything else you want to know? Then subscribe to the channel, like, and press the bell icon.
Hi, I'm Johnny. I met Patricia about 6 months ago. I'm modest and even-tempered, and she's reckless and wild. We were opposites like fire and water, but we were drawn to each other. I was born into a poor family. Actually, my mother raised me alone. She worked as a cleaner. My father left us many years ago and then he went missing. I also had a grandmother, Edith, who lived somewhere in the north, in the state of Michigan. As for Patricia, she was a daughter of a rich businessman, Alexander Majors. She grew up in wealth and luxury. She wanted to study abroad, but her father forced her to enter a university in our city, as he was afraid to let her go to Europe, where she could make friends with bad people. When Patricia told him about me, he must have regretted his decision. Once I came over to visit her and couldn't help overhearing their conversation. He was very angry. "What were you thinking? He's a son of a cleaner." "If you think that I'm going to buy an apartment for the two of you, you're definitely wrong." Patricia remained silent. He said he would make her marry a son of his wealthy friends, the Robinsons, and then added, "You're such a beautiful girl. It's okay, honey. I'll help you make the right choice." Later that night, Patricia and I were discussing the situation. She tried to calm me down, said she could find the words to help her father understand what was going on between us, and I started to regret falling in love with the daughter of a rich man. She laughed and said she couldn't understand how she had fallen in love with a son of a poor man. Our feelings were getting stronger day by day, and soon I proposed. She said yes. Her father was furious. He decided to talk to me. To tell you the truth, I was very scared of him. Alexander Majors was known for his harsh nature. He made a business offer to me. I would receive $100,000 from him for leaving his daughter alone, and I refused. Then he said he had a lot of resources to make my life hell, while the sum of $100,000 could help me escape from poverty. He asked me to take my time and think about his offer. I was confused and tried to understand it from his point of view. Indeed, Patricia and I could not make a good couple. She was a daughter of a rich man and I had nothing to offer her, so I decided it would be wise to break up with her, but I needed to see her one last time. And of course, I wasn't going to take her father's money. It was complete nonsense. I asked Patricia to meet me as we had a lot to talk about, but she interrupted me and said she was pregnant. I was shocked. Of course, our breakup was out of the question now. I was happy. Really happy. I would be a father. But then I told her about her father's offer. At first she got angry, but then she suggested a brilliant plan. I had to take the money and we would run away to another city to start a new life. It was a good idea because if her father knew about the pregnancy, he would make her have an abortion. The next morning, I was standing in her father's office. He was very glad to see me. I had to pretend to be upset. In response to that, he said I would be able to find another girl soon. Then he gave me $100,000. I left. In the evening, we had a plane to Detroit and then took a bus to a small northern city, Port Huron. My grandmother Edith was surprised but truly happy about our arrival. We hadn't seen each other for over 10 years. No wonder that Patricia's father was mad about us. It was his own daughter and a penniless scoundrel who fooled him. The only thing that soothed him were short messages from various accounts belonging to Patricia, informing him that she was fine and he had nothing to worry about. A few months later, Patricia and I founded our own business, which was rather profitable. When it was time for a baby to arrive, I was very nervous and tried to get distracted by work. But when I was told my wife had a son, I rushed to the hospital where I met Patricia's father. I was shocked, but he was happy. He told me that he saw Patricia and his grandson. Then he asked me how we had to share his daughter and the baby. I had a lump in my throat, but I said firmly that I was not going to leave the family. He laughed and calmed me down. He said he knew everything about us, praised us for not wasting the money and for establishing the business, and thanked me for my idea to name the child after him, Alexander. I was taken aback by the news, but then realized it was my wise wife who had made this plan. Alexander Sr. put his arm around my shoulder and we went to the nearest restaurant to have a toast for Alexander Jr. Patricia's father was fascinated with the picture of the baby who would then be the heir of the glorious business dynasty of the Majors. If you like my story, please Click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel.